FM and AM 760 present Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro is going to grace us with his presence today. What? Here we go. Just for the holidays. He is joined. He even caught me by surprise. He hasn't been in here the last couple of weeks because he's been busy covering other events going on for us, but got the text this morning that Michael's going to be joining us just in probably the next segment or two on this holiday morning on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. We are streaming live on YouTube as we always are every morning. But if you're not watching and want to chime in on the live chat, you can text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481. Want to first start off by giving a shout out to everybody participating in the Great Aloha Run this morning. Paul and I had like a fun little oh my gosh, okay, how early do we leave tomorrow? And thank you to KHON2 and the push notifications for reminding me that it was the Great Aloha Run. I no joke, right before I put my phone down last night, at 10 o'clock, because they always have the push alerts before their news and everything, the 10 o'clock news. Got the push alert, was about to put my phone down. I was like, oh, what's this? And normally I don't always actually read the text on every single push alert from the news. But good thing I read this one, because it was just what you need to know about lacing up and stuff for Monday morning. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's Great Aloha Run. Then I texted Paul hey, heads up, Great Aloha Run, because I think we both, our usual route is on Nimitz to come down here to our new studio location. So I knew for sure that was going to be closed because that's the main part of the entire route. And luckily it was all good. It was in the Apple Maps this morning too, the road closure. So I got to work just fine, and we actually got to work earlier than usual. So it's kind of funny, but kind of joke that if I hadn't gotten those push alerts for the Great Aloha Run, Paul and I likely would have been extremely late because there would have been no planning. We would have left our usual time. I would have tried to go Nimitz, realize it's closed, be detoured who knows where. And yeah, it just would have been quite interesting. But fortunately, we're here. We were early. And yeah, credit to the push notifications and that I saw that right before I put my phone down for the evening, because that would have been very funny. We would have been texting and scrambling oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it in time. And then you'll be like, I don't know if I'm going to make it in time. Which way do I go? I don't know.
The panic would have set it. I said it to you last night where I was like, I'm very glad that we got this out of the way now, because if I was scrambling at 7:20 and being I have to change the route today, the vibes would be very different for a Monday. But thankfully, like you said, shout out KHON2 push notifications for that. Shout out to you for making sure that I knew. And yeah, now we'll be with the beautiful people. Michael's going to join us in allegedly the next block. We'll see if that ends up being the case, being that, like we just said, there's a bunch of stuff going on out in the world, and that means people need to drive safely, and they're a little extra cautious, maybe a little bit slower. So we'll see if Michael's here. We hope Michael's here, but he'll be here eventually. Till then, we're here with you beautiful people, and we can't wait to chat with you, especially you, Caesar. Thanks for joining us. I see you chatting about Maui already. I also adore Maui. So does my wife. So
we might have to have a friendly debate though, Caesar, because and it's not even, my favorite island isn't even Oahu per se. It has to be the Big Island. So we can have a friendly debate about which island is the best island in Hawaii. And I personally just love the Big Island because it's my second island home here in Hawaii. Spent all of my youth going back and forth between here and the Big Island, specifically Hilo. But yeah, and it's stuck to being mostly Hilo. Obviously we love Oahu, and this is where I grew up. But I think we can all agree it's very different from, let's see, the 90s, even early 2000s. So it doesn't have the same mix of Hawaii feel, and yet you still get the city. It's a little too much city and too much construction. But Maui and the Big Island, maybe a toss-up. Although I do love Kauai too, because they're all good. Never mind. I just can't even.
There's a reason why you'll notice. I said that I also adore Maui. Not that it was my favorite, because I won't pick a favorite. Because one, my opinion doesn't matter on that. And two, like I said, I really, really do love all the islands because they are all so unique in so many different ways. They bring you so many different little things. It's one of the most fun things. That's part of the reason I love the state tournament too. You even see like teams have different play styles when they're from different islands. It's kind of cool. Like it really, really is a cool, neat thing to see. And then you add in all the nature and the beauty and the culture and
everything else.
All the wonderful things
Everything
too.
else.
So
See, Caesar, and we got us starting on this debate already in the morning, so we won't get into that. We got to get into sports. We definitely going to talk a lot of University of Hawaii sports, obviously, from the very, very highs of University of Hawaii baseball and even softball, actually, and then women's basketball, and then to the depths of the lows when it comes to UH men's basketball. Again, that was brutal on Saturday. At least Thursday's game was brutal, but and amounted in a win, even though they scratched it out. Saturday was it was tough, but we will get to that later because we want to start off on a high note, and we'll start off with University of Hawaii baseball because it is the beginning of baseball season, and we were all there. Opening night. I mean, as if you thought the Manoa Magic couldn't get any sweeter after Friday. You have like not one, but two walk-offs in a series. And of course, not only just having the two walk-offs, which are wins, of course, then you still win the other two games that you have there. So opening the season, series sweep over Marshall, the Rainbow Warrior baseball team did, extending their winning streak. And my, oh my, is this a fun team to watch. But we told you that. We were doing our preview on Friday. We told you this season's going to be special. Even on Friday night when we're out there, they had the tribute to Don Robs. And I'm like, one more Angel in the outfield. I'm like, Big West Championship, here we come, and more, because you win the Big West Championship, and then you're off to the NCAA postseason. Baby. So I'm like, and more. You added that other Angel in the outfield. So what a way to start. I mean, just continuing. Now I feel like any addition to the home winning streak is just gravy from here on out, because you didn't want to, under Rich Hill, don't want to start off like the first game. You don't want to kind of break that streak of not being able to win the season opener under Rich Hill. Starting the year on
a win is pretty big.
Yeah, so wanted to start that off for Rich Hill, get that streak over with of not being able to win the opening game. Had that magic moment on Friday night. I mean, walk off like to right field by Draven Nushida, and it was that like to me was crazy because, and it's a testament to the managerial style and the confidence that Rich Hill has in his players. Because if you guys aren't completely familiar with it, with Draven Nushida, that was just, he was called to pinch hit, and he is a transfer or a Kailua native, mid-pack grad, transferred over from Cal State Fullerton, and this was his Rainbow Warrior debut. Called in to pinch hit, sent it to right field, and then first pitch he saw.
That's cool too, as like
brought it back home.
A local boy, your first at bat for the University of Hawaii, and I know like not everyone dreams of playing for the University of Hawaii, but I gotta imagine a lot of them have, at least for a moment. For a moment, it's crossed their mind. So I have to imagine that was really cool the first time. That's the storybook. It's the old phrase that I love to. You're gonna see me tweet it out 107 times this year. How can you not be romantic about baseball? It is just such a beautiful sport, and there are so many little moments, especially, like you mentioned it, right? Honoring Don Robs and the season opener, and so many people excited, and they go down 5 runs early on, and it doesn't matter, right? You mentioned an Angel in the outfield, an extra one looking over, and we've gained plenty of those over the past year or so, and obviously longer. And
honestly, I kept saying that on Valentine's Day. We went down, and I was like, "It's okay, guys." I'm like, "It's still early. It's still early," and I was like, "Angels in the outfield." I'm like, that's all I kept telling myself the entire game. And usually, I get a little down, and usually it's like, and not saying positive Paul, it wasn't positive Paul, he was positive Paul too, but usually it takes positive Paul to be like, okay, it is still early. But that entire game being down, I'm like, like, look, there's only like 3 innings, like we got the whole game going. I'm like, it's still early, everybody, like, let's go. And then they start coming back and coming back and coming back, and then you just go crazy with the win. I mean, even in that win, like Rich Hill, like taking that ball, like fortunately, it didn't hit him in the head, but to the hand all swollen after the game as well.
No matter.
No, it was awesome. And like, I totally got ahead of myself there, but we're going to take a quick break really quick because I'm like, there's still many more. And then we got to talk about softball as well. But going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll actually let you hear from what head coach Rich Hill had to say after that win on Friday night, and then get you caught up with some of the stuff you may have missed from the rest of the series. And also softball, there were not one, but 2 walk-offs on Friday night for Valentine's Day, which was insane. The 2 Diamond Sports taking those wins in walk-off fashion. It was awesome. But we'll be back because I know it's going to drag on way past the clock. So we're going to take a break now. We'll be right back on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in traffic? Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on this President's Day holiday morning. Again, shout out to everyone participating in the Great Aloha Run and everyone just hanging out because the traffic, as long as you don't have to go in the way that the roads are closed, it's flowing by. Because I went on the freeway this morning and it was nice. It got to work faster because there's nobody commuting. So it was a nice little morning. Luckily, if you guys missed it, luckily Paul and I realized what was going on and was able to get the alert that we had to be here. All right, getting back to our UH baseball conversation, recapping that epic weekend series to open up the season, a sweeping Marshall, all 4 games, walk-off fashion on Friday 9-8, took the doubleheader 6-2 in 7 innings, walk-off fashion again on Saturday evening 7-6, and then yesterday afternoon 10-2. I mean, putting up more runs again over Marshall. But we were just recapping Friday night's Valentine's Day win to just completely start what I believe is going to be an amazing season for the Basebos. So before we continue on, want to let you guys hear from what head coach Rich Hill had to say following that game.
As you know, I get a great view, right, as a coach from the dugout in third base box. So umpires have a good view of things. They saw it differently.
Finally, Jaden, what made you make the call on that?
You know, once Aiden got hit by pitch, we wanted to keep him at first base, and we said don't, advance on a ball in the dirt at any circumstance, because I wanted that hole open for Draven. So I just felt like, we can kind of open up the field a little bit, pull side with a ground ball. And, hey, right before that, he asked Coach Nakama. Coach Nakama and Draven are the heroes. He said, do you mind if I swing first pitch? Dave's like, heck no, go for it. So, and the rest is history. A couple words come to mind: grit and toughness. Things aren't going your way. Sebastian is a real high-octane guy, pitches with a lot of emotion, and, I didn't think he managed the moment, very well. And we'll go back to the drawing board. He'll, learn the lesson and leave the event, as we call it. But, the offense, was just a huge story. putting together really good at bats. And then I think Isaiah Magdaleno and Freddie Rodriguez, were, really the story on the pitching side. I love playing games like this early in the year because, and getting into an extra inning game, because you can't get that in practice. You can't get that in an inter-squad game. And once you actually do it, that's a come from behind victory, down by 2, bottom of the ninth, their closer in. Now we know we can do it, so it gives you that confidence, you're never out of the fight, and that's from Lone Survivor, spent time in San Diego with those Navy SEALs, but, it just really amplifies that.
Coach, how does it feel to finally get an opening night win, your first one?
You were quick to remind me, that I never had done that. So, it feels great. The best thing, is just for our players, to develop that confidence that they're never out of the fight. And then above that's our fans, that, they stuck around to the end. We treated them to just an exciting, bottom of the ninth, walk-off victory. Local boy, hits the double. Special evening.
Can you talk a little bit more about Isaiah's performance tonight, just to kind of settle things down after going down 5-0 there,
right,
and whatnot, and how big that was in terms of the grand scheme of things coming back on the night?
Yeah, I think that was the key, one of the keys to the game. Just throwing that changeup. His fastball had a little zip on it, and in his curveball too. He went one time through the order. That's all we were going to ask of him, and he did his job. So did Freddie.
And that was UH Baseball head coach Rich Hill following Friday night's game. And obviously things got even more epic throughout the weekend. Saturday night, Shunsuke Sakaino, which is kind of interesting because I remember when we chatted with Rich Hill a month ago, kind of getting his thoughts on the season and players coming in and just obviously the turf. Shunsuke was one of the players that he had mentioned in that, like talking about this guy coming in. He's another transfer from CSUN, but Saturday night delivered an RBI single to left field with the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth to complete that doubleheader sweep on Saturday to win 7-6. And basically, I can't believe it. We were treated to not one, but two. And unfortunately, the rest of the games, only Friday night game, which was great that it was on Spectrum, but the rest of the games throughout the weekend were not on Spectrum. So I know Paul kind of just got there at the tail end, right? Went back on Saturday night and I remember you sent us the video and was like, I was
so angry because I was there. Like the worst part is, so I drive in, and of course I'm going to cover the UH basketball game.
Yeah.
And I see that the baseball game was still going on, and I knew that it had been like close or whatever, but I wasn't sure if it was the 8th or the 9th. So I drove by and I saw, and I look at, and I like count the zeros real fast, and I'm like, oh, it's the bottom of the 9th. I'm like, if they walk it off, great, I'll get it, and then I'll just go to the men's basketball game anyway. It'll be wonderful. Boom. I'm there. I'm like trying to position myself because I'm not like.
So you're like over the fence, right? Like
so
in the
I didn't
outfield?
think I had enough time to park the moped, lock it up, run in, get to a spot that like I could get an actual video. I was like, okay, what's another way I can do this? Going to the outfield, get in that spot. So I'm like trying to find this way, whatever. Long story short, I get up on the like light pole base and I'm holding it, and my fat thumb misses the record button the first time I go to hit it, and I quickly tap it after, but of course it's as contact is made. So it's most of the play. You can see the ball get like off the bat and then the run and then everybody run out. It gets all the like good parts for the most.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get the pitch into the full swing. And I was so mad at myself because I was like, you had it, you idiot. It was there. But nonetheless, a magical weekend in Manoa continues the winning streak. It was a really cool scene. I also really love, by the way, the flashing lights. I don't remember if they did that last year after walk-offs or whatnot. It's cool. I like it. It adds some atmosphere, some aura, some whatever. 4-0, 15 straight at home, 9 straight dating back to last year, both longest in the nation for now. Like you mentioned, I don't think we can ask for much more after what was an incredible opening weekend. Best start since 2018 as well, since my second year of college.
It's
There you
been a
go.
while, you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
I know, and that's why you're like, you think back to everything. And I mean, honestly, after the first night, that opening night win and the fashion it was, even I was like, it's not that I thought they were going to lose any of the games or anything like that. It's just, to me, I almost just felt like it was just a good sigh of relief. It was like, all right, you got over the hump of the not winning opening games under Rich Hill. And then it was Valentine's Day. And like we said, we talk about baseball being so romantic, and everybody was in there, like over 2,000 people in attendance. Like I said, I'm glad everyone showed up, because that's what I was saying on Friday. Like, we're going to spend Valentine's Day with at least like 2,000 of you at the Les Murakami Stadium. And there were even more people across the way at Rainbow Wahine Softball Stadium as well. I mean, that night, Friday, you had Millie Fidge come in to pinch hit, drilled a shot down the third baseline to drive in the tying and winning run in a walk-off win over Utah Tech. So Hawaii won 3-2 on day 2 of the spring fling. And then yesterday afternoon, in the bottom of the 8th, pinch runner Keely Kai was placed at second for Milan Ayat. With a 1-2 count, Ayat launched a walk-off 2-run home run over the left field wall to propel Hawaii over Utah Tech 8-6. So I'm like, what just happened? Like, not one, both baseball and softball teams got not one, but 2 walk-offs in, opening weekend for baseball. And we know softball has been in action for a little while. And softball's off to one of their best starts as well. So it's like,
they're awesome.
What is going on? I'm getting chicken skin just talking about it all over again, because both sides across the street of each other just having phenomenal weekends. Now, Hawaii didn't win all of their games. The softball team didn't in the spring fling, but nonetheless, to be able to, I know, gosh, it's supposed to be easy to win in softball.
No, they've been awesome.
No, but they're 8-2 right now. And again, they just have been able to not only win, but put up runs. We mentioned Western Illinois last week, Thursday, beat them 11-5. Utah Tech, as we just talked about on Friday night, 3-2. Sacramento State squeaked by 1-1. Just dropped that game to Cal State Bakersfield in the first game yesterday afternoon, 7-2. But then we're able to bounce back and beat Utah Tech again, 8-6 man, 8-2. I mean, what a start for the Rainbow Wahine softball team too.
You can't really ask for a better one. Like I said it tongue in cheek, pretty facetiously. Like, oh, how dare they? They've been awesome, right? And they're another team similar to the baseball squad that has so many new faces, and part of having a really busy first couple of weeks in the season, they've got an opportunity to grow closer. And man, oh man, if they are 8-2 when they barely know each other, when they barely have the chemistry, when they're still figuring it out, I'm excited to see where it can go from here, right? They leave today for their first road trip of the season. That's always a good indicator, a good test as well, where it's like, all right, well, you can protect Rainbow Wahine Softball Stadium. That is always very, very important. But can you also go on the road? Can you still get it done? Does the pitching travel? Do the bats travel? Does the defense travel? How does all of that look? And I'm really excited to see that part of it as well, because I think the talent is so strong and so deep that they will have the ability to go do that. And they're playing some quality opponents as well. So it's not like it's just this walk in the park. Really enjoying I'm enjoying their season. It's fun. Wishing them the best on their travels, of course. It's hard. Like, baseball, softball are such mental games in general that, like, if your physical isn't feeling right, then it's, like, impossible to play. So I hope that travel is super simple for them, that they all have their routines down and whatnot. And they start to get them, for the newer players, they start to get them nailed down. As I mentioned, their first road trip of the season, they leave today.
Yeah, and this is going to be a difficult one, as Paul just mentioned. The Rainbow Wahine softball team going on the road to play in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic, where they will play BYU, Nevada, St. Mary's, LMU, and San Diego State before coming back for the Outrigger Invitational. But that is kind of a gauntlet, too. And the doubleheader on Friday, a single game on Saturday, and then doubleheader on Sunday this weekend. So that's kind of a big thing to look out for the softball team.
I think Marcus got a chance to make his way over to Rainbow Wahine Softball Stadium. Think he saw any of that after he thrown out the first pitch?
I don't think so.
No, he was too busy.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, mainly because I just imagine him being too busy with everyone being like, Marcus.
That's kind of what I mean.
It's like you can never like walk more than 5 feet, right?
He's a celebrity as it is, and then you bring him back home, and then it's like I'm from a small town. Every time we had anybody who did anything come back, we freaked out. I can only imagine when it's like your state, you're an island, and then you send somebody to the freaking NFL. I can't imagine the amount of people who wanted even a moment of his time. I was just curious because, like, also when I saw the comments bringing up Marcus was at the game. So yes, Caesar, he was at the UH baseball game Saturday
first game.
First game, yeah. So that was cool. I don't know. It was a fun weekend in general. Maybe he's a big baseball, softball guy. Who knows? I was wanting to get your thoughts real quick.
I know he's a soccer guy mainly because I know his wife played soccer, so that's why the Motivate Foundation sponsors the girls' state soccer tournament, and boys too. But that's why that's kind of the soccer tie in there. I wonder if Motivate's gonna sponsor girls flag football. That would be a pretty interesting one. Although I think maybe Hawaii Pacific Health might be already ahead of that. So we'll see what happens when it comes out.
More funding would never hurt.
Yeah. Well, speaking of going back to baseball, they are back in action this Thursday, still at home. So we get to see the Rainbow baseball team for a couple more series left. They'll host Wichita State this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So single game all each day. Then play I almost said Northwestern, Northeastern next week. I was like, Northeastern. You always hear Northwestern, but Northeastern next week before going on the road to play a Big West opponent, UC Riverside. But yeah, I want to get to some of your comments. Hello to everyone tuning in on YouTube as it is a holiday, but we are broadcasting live. Hashtag team no days off, but want to make sure we keep giving credit and everyone participating in the Great Aloha Run. Shout out to one of our guys in the media that we see at our media scrums and at covering games, Justin Baptiste over here. Aloha, great show. Thank you very much. And of course, Caesar chiming in about saying he loves watching softball. I wish I can watch the HPU softball games, but I don't know if they broadcast their games. So HPU does stream their games, but it is more of a subscription thing that you have to go through the HPU Sharks website. You will be able to listen to this Wednesday's game against Chaminade. So we will have live play-by-play coverage, audio for you guys to listen to via terrestrial radio or at hawaiisportsradio.com. So we'll bring you coverage that way for HPU softball with the action starting at 1:30. So games are at 1:30 and 3. So you can have an entire afternoon of softball, everybody, with HPU, they're off to a great start as well. So yeah, if you go to HPU Sharks, there's a link somewhere on there where you can watch it, but you have to pay for the service to watch it. Maybe we can, maybe record stuff or I don't know, ask for forgiveness.
I was going to say we can chat with them. We'll chat with some people.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get you some of the games to stream whenever the full team of us can be out there. But we'll look out for you. Scott chiming in here. Great game, 4-win sweep. Yeah, ice cold beer. Good to see Marcus Mariota and Coach Hill broke his opening day losing streak. Yeah, hot day this weekend, and yeah, ice cold beer that I hope you guys a lot of you guys had to enjoy on Friday, Saturday, and or Sunday because it was a whole thing. Saturday though, I didn't watch much baseball. We were watching hockey, which we will get into a little later. Yes, hockey of all things, but that's a whole conversation that we will dive into coming up in hour number 2. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will, you know what? I was going to go to one thing, but now we're going to keep the good vibes going here. We're going to talk some Rainbow Wahine basketball because we'll go from one win streak to the other win streak and talk about that team that is the Rainbow Wahine basketball team when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Stuck in
'cause I thought what I want. Yeah, I'm a rebel. I'ma do what I do, try to keep up, ain't no one better.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautiful list of all the beautiful people. Let's wake up in the den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht. We thought Michael was going to join us by the B block, but we'll see whenever he'll get here when he gets
B block
here.
hour 2. B block hour 2.
He'll get here when we get here. Happy holiday Monday, President's Day to anybody that might have the day off. Or, yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you might be working or driving around or watching us on YouTube, you guys can watch our show every Monday on our YouTube channel. Be sure you guys like and subscribe. But if you do any of that stuff or watch or listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com or wherever you get your podcasts, we appreciate you, and that is why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. And we like to talk about the beautiful thing that is winning. So we're going to continue with the winning streak conversation, as we like to so much. We went from talking about baseball and softball coming out with not only wins, but walk-off wins in a couple of their games over the weekend. And now we're going to get into some Rainbow Wahine basketball, which, I mean, my goodness, if it couldn't get any better, like having the Rainbow Wahine also come out with a win to extend their winning streak. I mean, you guys, like, this has been amazing so far. And like we said about baseball and that opening series and the winning streak that they are on collectively, and then their home winning streak that's a bit longer, longest active in the nation right now. Everything from here is just gravy, at least in terms of the regular season. Now, fortunately for the Rainbow Wahine, obviously playing to try to close out the regular season with a regular season championship and then propel them into the postseason Big West tournament to get that championship as well, because it's the moment for this senior class, right? So I'm sure they have it circled and ingrained in their brain that this is going to be a big thing, and something that they want to do is win both championships. And who knows, maybe win the first round in the NCAA tournament. The sky is the limit for this team. Unfortunately, still hit with the injury bug, as we know. So luckily, we still have majority of our players, including our bigs, because they were a big deal, no pun intended, this last game against Irvine. But Hawaii being without the services of Mia Uhila, as we saw her get a little banged up on Thursday's game, and then no surprise that she wasn't in action on Saturday. But nonetheless, Hawaii still being able to squeak out a victory over UC Irvine 49-44, the team that is second to the Rainbow Wahine in the Big West Conference standing. So that's why we talked about it last week and said that it was important for the Rainbow Wahine to get this win, mainly because it will increase that separation for them on the top. And a lot of the opponents that they play aren't as to the highest level as a UC Irvine squad that they got to worry about. So Hawaii just, needs to play their game as it is. Still, got to continue to take care of the basketball. 18 turnovers with this Rainbow Wahine squad. I mean, I jokingly made in the group text to Paul and Michael, I was like, do we need to separate the men and the women? Should they not interact at all at the Simplify Arena at Stan Sheriff Center? You guys can't be friends, because we can't have the men's problem with turnovers continue to trickle into the women's side. But fortunately for the Rainbow Wahine, I mean, they're still able to finish. That's a big thing. And on the flip side, I mean, they're just 46 rebounds for Hawaii. So that's something that is big as well. So not giving these second chance points to a team like Irvine. But the turnover thing was a little scary, but fortunately didn't have a huge, didn't entirely affect the University of Hawaii, as they were able to come out with that win 49-44. Taking a look at some of these stats for you guys right here on our YouTube channel. I mean, a field goal, Hawaii shooting just over 30%. 3-pointer from the field, both teams not shooting that great. Hawaii just making 3 of 17 from long distance. Again, not a this is just a game that was awkward, but fortunately for Hawaii, something that does save them, especially when playing against a really, really good team like UC Irvine. I mean, they have the defending Big West Player of the Year, Deja Lee, for a reason, and they win games. But Hawaii, we talk about it all the time, is that their defense is just phenomenal. So when the offense isn't clicking, when you're turning over the basketball, Hawaii, to their credit, is able to get the stops that they need to prevent a team like UC Irvine, who can turn it on and can turn on the offense, but Hawaii able to slow them down. And that was a big thing for them to come out with this win.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a few times. The defense is just otherworldly from the Rainbow Wahine at this point, where no matter what, they just can fall back on it. Oh, one of our players who has been super hot lately, oh, she has to miss a game? Okay, we'll just lean back on our defense. Oh, our star point guard is out because she's sick? Oh, we'll just lean on our defense. Oh, we'll just lean on our depth. It's the same story game in and game out, and not in the way the men are, but taking this typical time to remind you guys that progress is never linear and development is never linear for sports, for athletes in general. So that was not me trying to take a shot at Jade, but, she's somebody who last year had a really nice freshman year. This year, there's a lot of competition at the guard spot. They've luckily, once again, had a little bit more health at the guard spot, so it's super deep, so there's not as many minutes to go around and whatnot. And when Kelsey plays like that, she takes even minutes away from a Jovi Lafotu, who's been outstanding this year at times as well. So there's so much depth on this team, and then when you see that depth take a step up, they're developing the next step there. It's been awesome to see. The defense was great. A 3 of 17 second quarter would be enough to kill most teams. How many teams in the country can really survive that type of performance and not have a performance that is, otherworldly in the other 3 quarters? The Rainbow Wahine made 1 shot in the 4th quarter, and they still won the game by 5 because they held UC Irvine to 1 make in the 4th quarter. And it's just like they have continued to impress me in different ways. Their rebounding has improved leaps and bounds. That's actually kind of a pun, I guess. Leaps and bounds since January, basically since the conference season has started, and after the first 2 weeks of the conference season. They are a juggernaut in every single way that we thought they would be. And the funny thing is, it's like they've had so much adversity to go through throughout the year. Whether it's losing players that you thought you were going to have at the start of the year, losing players because of injury, having, every sickness known to man.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Including Coach Beeman.
That's what I mean. Literally everybody on the team, top to bottom, doesn't matter. You can all get these hands, say the sicknesses, and they say you can get them right back, and we'll just win 13 in a row. It has been a really fun watch. They root for each other. They cheer each other on. The environment, the atmosphere every time you get around them is such a locked-in, focused nature, but not one that is like the Patriots regime where, the Patriot way was so robotic. These ladies are having fun out there. They're enjoying themselves. And they just go out and they win. They deserve all the flowers. And I hope you guys, and I'll speak directly to the camera now, I hope you guys continue to come out to support them. And I hope some of you who have been like, maybe I'll go, I can't make the time tonight, or I hope you make the time, especially going down the stretch here, because these ladies, especially this group of seniors, really, really does deserve it from the islands, from the fans, from everybody, because of what they have continued to give the program.
Yeah, and I want to give everyone a little, I'm glad I just remembered to say this, give everyone a little peek behind the curtain for Saturday's game. As, we mentioned the turnovers, one player, and kind of, you mentioned it, Paul, where you brought up how Kelsey had the night that she had, and even takes away playing time from someone like Jovi Lefotu. And Jovi, she was just not having a very good game that day. She had a couple of really bad turnovers in the beginning, and I know from what I've talked to people that were in attendance at that game, it was kind of emotional coming out of the halftime. And at first we're like, I hope nothing serious is wrong, but Coach Beeman still throws her out there. And I know they but it's a testament to this coaching staff, right? I just wanted to kind of echo what Paul is saying, where sometimes even if you have a player that is struggling, Coach Beeman and the assistant coach, they're still going to put the players out there. They're like, you know what, you're going to play through it. You're going to play through the mistakes. And it sucks because I know as a player, and Jovi was very hard on herself on the sideline, and I would be the same way, right? Like when you know it's just not flowing and it's not clicking for you when you're out there on the court or the field, you're going to get down on yourself. But the coaches don't get down on the players who are having bad games. They throw them right back out there, and I think that's huge because it's, and I know Kelsey Imai had mentioned it in one of the post games where she had talked about, the coaches just trust them to keep playing, to keep shooting. And when it's not falling, it's okay. It's okay. Like just keep going and just keep playing your game. Sometimes it's going to be far from perfect. It's going to get frustrating, but it's a huge testament and credit to this coaching staff that they are able to instill that confidence in their players and still continue to put them out there, even if they're having a bad game, and just letting them play through it. So I know it's something that not a lot of people noticed on Saturday, and I was more privy to the information because of one of our good friends that was there in attendance and kind of telling me what was going on behind the scenes with Jovi. And I'm like, but that's such credit to Coach Beeman and to the coaching staff that they will continue to just believe in their players, because that's what it takes. The players will continue to believe in themselves and not get down on themselves when they're having games like that, like Jovi was having that day. And then it shows, right? And then you have players like Kelsey just start to step up from nowhere. I mean, all these players and the coaches, I mean, they have a 13-game winning streak for a reason, right? Like, we talk about some games where they did get lucky, but at the same time, I mean, that is no fluke to win 13 games, which include obviously your conference games that are always difficult and road games. This isn't just a home winning streak. It's 13 games going home, playing at home and on the road. So now they're up 2.5 games over UC Irvine for the top of the Big West. And it was just beautiful to watch. So they do have a bye, so no game on Thursday, but we hope to see you guys on Saturday. All right, and now we kind of look, and we always joke about this, the team can't look past and look to the future, but we're allowed to. So being that if we were to tab the Rainbow Wahine basketball team as the Big West tournament champions, that means they will be slotted in to the NCAA tournament. The bracketology, though, the latest bracketology, it is quite difficult for the Rainbow Wahine. So going to take a quick break. We're going to close out hour number one with a bit more women's basketball conversation and take a look at the AP Top 25 poll, the new poll that just came out, and then also look at where Hawaii would end up in the NCAA tournament. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Den with Kulale Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Kulale Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro gracing us with his presence. You know, he typed B block, but I think he meant D block that he was joining us, so that's why he's here now. There we go. We got Michael Lescaro in the house. What a special holiday weekend now that we got going on.
Is he? Hang on. Is he not Mike 3?
Should be Mike 3.
Yeah, he seems to be Mike 3. I'm gonna have to figure out who he is.
We thought he was joining us, and now it's.
I'll figure it out.
Well, he's on camera there. Just say hi to the camera for now, Michael, until we get figured. No,
they can't hear
you.
They
can probably hear you to our background.
Maybe. Let's see if I can
no,
go.
It's not gonna happen. He's wearing the Pikachu attire.
What about this one?
All right. Anyways, we'll get into the basketball conversation and maybe figure out what's going on with.
Give Michael a chance to talk.
Okay.
Michael, speak, please.
I am speaking.
Oh, it sounds interesting, though.
All right. We're getting closer.
Yes, beautiful people. I'm wearing a Pikachu shirt because I
sounds
choose
very
you.
weird.
I
Maybe we might have to switch to
What
the
if he
other
tries?
mic.
What I was gonna say. What if he tries the fourth mic?
All right. Don't want to spend too much
What I
time
was
for
gonna say,
people
anyway.
because not everyone's watching on YouTube. So we got to chat to the beautiful people that may be listening, whether it be driving or on demand. Again, welcome in and welcome to Michael Lescaro for gracing us with his presence this morning. We were talking a lot about women's basketball with the Rainbow Wahine in the previous segment and wanted to continue that conversation because with the rates that the women are playing, the UH that is, they're looking pretty good and in a good position to win the Big West Conference regular season championship. Obviously, you have to go and play in the tournament and be able to win that if they finish the way that they are. And at the top, they'll have the bye all the way into the semifinal, and it'll just, hopefully won't get upset like what happened last season. But should they end up there? And before we get to that, though, the new AP Top 25 poll for NCAA women's basketball just came out. Just your top 10 real quick. You got Notre Dame at the top, followed by Texas, who was able to beat LSU over the weekend, 65-58. You got UCLA at number 3 after they suffered their loss to USC last week, but able to beat Michigan State yesterday. So UCLA sitting at 24-1 at 3, and USC. Hopefully, we'll get you guys some more USC basketball. We're still working on a situation that's happening so we haven't been able to bring you the national programming that we usually do in the LA Clippers and USC men's and women's basketball. Hopefully we get that fixed sometime this week and definitely before baseball season because I know we have a lot of Seattle Mariners fans that are waiting intently for our baseball coverage of the Seattle Mariners, where you can hear pretty much every game unless it's covered up by our local play-by-play. But other than that, will be able to hear just about every Seattle Mariners baseball game of the regular season on Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. Rounding out the top 5 in the AP Top 25, you got UConn. Number 6, South Carolina, who got walloped by UConn, actually. I had to double check the score. Like, wait, what was that? 87-58, just got beat by UConn. LSU falls to 7, a couple of spots back. Ohio State at 8, North Carolina 9, and TCU at 10. All right, I wanted to give you that top 10 at least of the latest AP Top 25 women's college basketball poll because when we look at the Rainbow Wahine, and again, just assuming that they are going to win the Big West Conference tournament, they were slotted in, unfortunately, because they didn't win last year. If they won last year and was able to win this year, they probably would have earned themselves maybe as high as a 13 seed potentially, but unfortunately they will get in there as the 15 seed, at least according to bracketology. So we're just going to go with this. Win it. They're slotted into 15, and they would play the 2 seed in the region for Spokane region in Los Angeles. They would have to play the number 2 seed that is projected to be the number 4 current team, USC. And my girl, Juju Watkins. And if you guys watched any highlights, if you are just a basketball fan, like just basketball, watch the highlights of Juju Watkins in that UCLA game. I mean, you want to talk about Hooper? Like, this woman is like phenomenal. Like, she put out a highlight reel against UCLA to get that win. Like it was just beautiful basketball to watch from her. Not only just the way she moves the basketball, but she's getting blocks, taking it, going down like coast to coast and all around. But I'm just like, man, Hawaii playing in LA against USC. One of the best players, top, two best players in the nation right now in Juju Watkins. And then you also have the Talia von Ohoffen kind of connection there with her dad being Kimo von Ohoffen out of Molokai. And I'm just like, as daunting as it would be for the University of Hawaii women to play a team like USC, I would love nothing more than that experience for this team, especially these seniors. Like, that would be so cool. I mean, can you imagine, like, Lily or Kelsey having that defensive assignment on Juju Watkins to kind of finish their collegiate career? Like, that would be an insane. I mean, any of these top teams, obviously, but I think USC, again, having that somewhat Hawaii connection as well. Obviously, we're biased because we have USC games on our station, but man, that would be daunting but exciting at the same time.
Oh my God, yeah. It'd be super fun. USC is one of the most fun women's basketball programs to watch right now. They're in my top 5. Obviously, you mentioned 2 of them in UConn and South Carolina. I was really looking forward to that game. I still enjoyed it, but it was not the slugfest that I thought it was going to be. They're really, really fun. They're really, really tough. I really think Juju's probably the best player in the country. Like, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, she's my favorite player in the country. But it's also not like Hawaii hasn't been tested yet. It's also not like Hawaii hasn't shown that they have the ability to go against professional level talent, because I'll remind you, going up against Lauren Betts and UCLA earlier in the season, and I understand that was in the Stan Sheriff Center. I understand.
And Lauren Betts was out with a lot of foul trouble.
But here's the thing. Foul trouble happens. What's to say Juju Watkins doesn't get in foul trouble and so on and so forth? So it's like, it would be a lot of fun, good time. Like you mentioned, tall task.
Hello. Oh, yes. Well, you mentioned that the
Yeah,
UC.
that still doesn't.
Well,
Can he try the fourth mic?
We'll save it for the next one, Michael, because this mic just does not sound good right now. All right.
But
anyways,
Melo did not play in the UCLA game.
This is true.
And Neil Hill only played 2 minutes.
yeah. Anyways, but on that note, we're going to go to break because we got to figure out this mic situation before we have Michael chiming in. This is what happens when you don't come regularly, and now it's like we don't know which mic is going to work for you or not. Anyways, we'll be back for hour number 2, streaming live on our YouTube channel as well, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lascaro on this President's Day holiday Monday. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live every Monday as we are right now on our YouTube channel. You guys can text us. If you're not interacting in the live chat on YouTube, you can also text us at 808-888-KGU1, and that's throughout the week as well. That's 808-888-5481. We'll get into some, as you heard our Chaz on tie in that little sports report there, the All-Star weekends, I guess, for multiple sports in the NBA and the NHL. We'll actually talk about that and have a little spicy Paul rant session potentially when it deals with the NBA side of things. We'll also get into some University of Hawaii men's basketball conversation a little later. We wanted to start the show and this morning off with good vibes only, so we talked a lot of baseball, softball, and of course women's basketball in the first hour. If you guys missed any of that, you can listen on demand at hawaiisportsradio.com, wherever you get your podcasts, or of course watch the on demand version of the live YouTube as well. Be sure you like and subscribe. So now of course we got to get into the other part, that is the men's basketball game that happened on Saturday. So we'll get to that a little later, but still want to actually continue because we kind of got pushed up against the hour, so want to pick up again just a little bit to close out our final thoughts on if the Rainbow Wahine basketball team were to win the Big West Conference tournament. Unfortunately, even if they won the regular season, the Big West doesn't get enough credit to potentially get in just that at-large bid if they were to win the regular season and lose the tournament like what happened last year. But if they won, as I mentioned earlier, they are currently slotted to be the 15th seed, and they would have to play USC, who is the number 2 seed in the Region 4 area of the bracket. Scott actually chiming in and mentioning that Irvine had gotten the 13th seed last year, and then he's like, WTH about Hawaii getting the number 15 seed this year. I agree with you, especially because this team, I mean, they're really, really good. But if they did happen to be able to get up there and get the 13th seed, right now that is UTSA, and they would be matched up against Kentucky. So a little further of a road trip that they would have to play as well, going over to Lexington, Kentucky. Kentucky is slotted to be the 4 seed in there, and at least in terms of the latest top 25 women's basketball poll, Kentucky is currently 20-4 and the ranked number 14. I haven't watched any Kentucky women's basketball, so I honestly have no thoughts on how the matchup would be different like USC women's basketball.
Pretty sure that's where the old Virginia Tech coach went.
Okay. So that could potentially be a less of a daunting opponent as USC would be, and the best player in the country right now in Choo Watkins. So matchup wise, that could be better for Hawaii. But I mentioned this to close out hour number 1, that just experience wise and for these seniors, that just that overall experience playing against multiple future WNBA players in USC, and the Hawaii connection with Talia Van Ohoffen. If you guys aren't aware, her dad is Kimo Van Ohoffen, a football player out of Molokai. But yeah, it's just overall, we got to win first. But like I said, it's okay for us to start talking about the future. Let's see if Michael's mic works this time.
Mic check 1, 2,
Hey.
3, 4, 5. Hi
there,
everybody.
my friends.
Yes, it will be awesome for the University of Hawaii because that is the team that's winning. So they should get all the good vibes and the accolades and fun.
I thought you were going to say more on that because he was like, it seemed like he was chiming in towards the end of the hour, but
It's going to be a fun end to the regular season. I will say about the seeding thing, I think Hawaii was hurt by those losses during the non-conference. As much as I love scheduling difficult and whatnot, they didn't do a great job winning any of those games. I hate being like, oh, games that matter, because every game matters. Wins matter. But when you go against Portland, right, and you drop that one, but you beat Portland State, but Portland State wasn't a tournament team last year, right? And you had an opportunity against an ACC squad in Clemson, and you had an opportunity against an SDSU, and the inability to lock down those games, I think how can I say this as respectfully as possible? I think the committee doesn't always take into account everything. They don't watch every team. So I don't think they realize how good the Rainbow Wahine are. They wouldn't understand kind of the things that were happening then, right? Because that's a time they have 3 rotational players out on the road. And it's things like that, right? But that being said, that could also end up being that a top 2 seed, a top 3 seed could end up seeing a really, really difficult Rainbow Wahine squad in the first round, and that would stink for their fans as well, because I wouldn't want to go against a top 5 defense in the country in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So could be a two-edged or a double-edged sword where, yes, it sucks for Hawaii where maybe they don't get the same respect, because I agree they should get if you see Irvine last year got the 13 seed, with respect to them, great team, deserved to win the Big West Conference tournament, blah, 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 blah. This is a better Hawaii team. Okay, and obviously you need to take care of business, and it's all a moot point if you don't win the tournament, right? You have to take care of business still. But should we get ahead of ourselves and go into what March Madness would be? Hawaii could end up being a really, really difficult 15 seed for literally anybody. Because here's the thing, I don't know if USC ends up as a 2 seed, because they're pretty darn good. They might end up as a number 1 seed, and then maybe somebody gets bumped down who you match up better against. I'm curious to see. It's fun to have those conversations, and we're able to have those conversations because this is a team that's won 13 straight. They've shown the ability to win despite who cares what goes on everywhere else.
Well, if USC were to move up and be the 1 seed and it flip-flop with the 1 seed in that region, guess who it is? South Carolina. So, hey, there we go. Who is obviously beatable now.
Don't they have, what's her name? Pow Pow?
Yo, yeah, there's another Polynesian connection.
Boom.
Hey, Pow
See,
Pow.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt.
I love it. Good on you, Paul. All right. Again, Rainbow Wahine basketball back in action. No game this Thursday, but back on Saturday at the Simplify Arena at Stan Sheriff Center to play UC San Diego, 7 o'clock p.m. for their pink game. Okay. Want to continue somewhat of the basketball conversation, but also it been going on NBA All-Star Week that's been happening. But on the flip side, we saw the first rendition of the 2025 Four Nations Face-Off in hockey that replaced their All-Star game this year. It was announced, but I don't think anybody realized like how awesome it would be. If you guys haven't listened to this show very often, we don't talk a lot of hockey just because I know majority of the listeners in Hawaii don't really follow it, but I myself very much love hockey. I know it's like local girl that loves hockey. I don't know. I started watching hockey since the Sidney Crosby game. Sidney Crosby going over to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Huge Pittsburgh fan, and was able to fortunately see them win a Stanley Cup in person in San Jose. So I love hockey, and I tell everybody that is the best sport to watch in person. Better than football, better than basketball, like being live at a hockey game. And I encourage everybody to watch. If for all of our friends that go to Vegas, I highly encourage you to go to a Vegas Golden Knights game if you can, and just, scoop up some cheap tickets on the secondary market on the game day and get there early to watch the opening thing. It's amazing. It's super fun and exciting. So I always encourage people to go check out hockey when they're in Las Vegas. And so the Four Nations Face-Off, if you guys aren't familiar with it, basically you're taking the top IIHF rankings for these hockey teams. You got Canada at the top, you got Finland, and then Russia is technically slotted at third, but then they're on the sanctions because of their war with Ukraine, similar to what we see with the Olympics and all that stuff. So Russia's not in there. Then you have the United States at 4, and then followed by Germany and Sweden. But it's kind of like a little round robin tournament style. US's win over Canada on Saturday propels them to guarantee them into the championship game, and all the other teams are still vying to see who wins. But it was awesome. I mean, there was also drama, and there's obviously the drama trickled on social media. You had the clips of the national anthem being sung for the USA, and all the Canadian fans are like booing, and then the game starts, and then you have like fists flying everywhere, and it was just nonstop action. Like, these players were actually playing hockey, literally trying to beat each other up. Like, there were hard checks as if you were watching a real NHL hockey game. It was NHL rules. It was awesome, like action top to bottom, and of course US able to beat Canada in what is considered kind of like the upset. So you have like the epitome of an all-star game, and then you add in like that extra, like the countries against each other, that just adds to it, obviously for everybody's fandom. And then you go over to the NBA all-star festivities. I don't even want to call it a game.
You can
it's
just
like
call it All-Star Weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that's.
It was a flip side. Like, kudos to the NHL because they rocked it and they took over the excitement of what a all-star type of weekend or a game is supposed to feel like. And then the NBA is still trying to figure it out. And I know it's a big deal when I see Positive Paul tweet out something and vent his frustration with that all-star series that we saw from the NBA.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep it as brief as possible because I don't even know if it deserves the respect of like a full rant. I agree with everything you said in terms of an awesome display of hockey for the All-Stars and for the Four Nations. I thought the concept is really cool. You bring in the national pride in things. It's a very fun event. And I think you see that with the Olympics. I think you see that with the World Baseball Classic we saw. I mean, Japan, USA, and Shohei Ohtani giving a big rousing speech to his team before. And, we're not afraid. We can't be afraid of them and all of these things. Like, you see this with international competition, right? It's really cool. It's fun. And it makes there feel like there's value to the weekend, right? You see all of the best players, or maybe not all of them, but a large majority of the best players in your sport actually caring and going. And not only that, but giving the ability to show that they care and actually go and so on and so forth. And what I mean by that is most times you see with the NBA, there's this complaint about the players don't care in the All-Star game and it's not competitive, and but it's an All-Star game. Yeah, no duh. Okay, I don't care about that. It's that it's so far away from anything that we should care about at this point, right? It's all over social media, so you guys can go see it yourself. People talk about the amount of actual basketball that was played in the All-Star game wasn't even half of what the broadcast time was. It wasn't even half of what was going on elsewhere. I mean, we had a Kevin Hart stand-up, I guess. Like, is that what the whole thing was? And then everything is sponsored, and I get you need the sponsors because the money keeps going up, so you need to adhere to them. But then you have Draymond going on and guaranteeing the Warriors are going to win a title, but also the young players are ruining the game, and it's the old guys. He's fighting with Charles Barkley, and the older guys, they say how they love basketball and they love this generation, blah blah blah, how blessed they are. But then, is that really the case? Because all they do is complain about these guys and talk about how soft the league is and how terrible the product is and how all this, that, and the other thing. And you know what I loved about, because I'll admit this, I turned off All-Star Weekend to tune into the hockey weekend, okay? I am not a hockey guy. I say that I'm a Rangers fan. I'm a very casual Rangers fan. They inhabit the same building that my New York Knicks do. That is pretty much the extent of my fandom with them. I could tell you a little extra stuff, but whatever. Hockey's not my thing. Okay, I just never really was able to get into it. Not because it's not a great sport, not because it's not super competitive, blah, 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 blah. I just always loved basketball. They were the same season, same times. I mean, it wasn't even a hesitation. I didn't even know who was playing. I didn't even know it was USA versus Canada. I just saw hockey. And I was like, may as well. And that was really disappointing for me because I used to love All-Star Weekend, man. I mean, I remember growing up watching Nate Robinson, and obviously this is all have a Knicks thing to it. I remember watching Nate Robinson and Dwight Howard go against each other in the dunk contest, and you had the Kryptonite shoes versus Superman, and you had the gimmicks and stuff, and you had star players who participated in it, and you had the fun players who also participated in it. The three-point competition was fun, but also, the breaks in between, the skills competition, I thought that was decent. I'll put it like this, actually.
It's Wemby and Chris Paul trying to cheat
I thought
the
that was
system.
good, right? Because the best thing for the skills competition is to get people talking about it, right? That got people talking about it. So I thought that was good. But All-Star Weekend's supposed to be a celebration of your game, a celebration of your best players, a celebration of the sport and the fans and all of that. And it just doesn't feel that way. I mean, the players seemed miserable, kind of like, what the hell are we doing here, guys? And maybe I tweeted it, maybe it was in the tweet. Just scrap it. Scrap the weekend. Let the players have a week off in the middle of the season to reset, rest their bodies, and then come back. If this is the product that we're gonna put out there, I don't want to watch it. And I think there are plenty of ideas to try and fix it. One of them I saw was make it so that the guys who were snubbed in the voting, make it so that they're that last team instead of the Rising Stars. And make it so that you have to win, right? If you don't win, you're not an all-star. Have that, where you can have something taken away from these guys. Okay, there's something for you, and then you have the monetary prize or that. Or maybe if it goes back to East and West, make it so that the winner gets home court advantage in the finals. I think that would be a really...
Like baseball.
Exactly. Like, it's just... I think there are ways to go about it, and I feel like such an old man screaming at a cloud because it's like...
Paul, you're the youngest one here. Don't call
Yeah,
him.
I was gonna say, guys, this was Paul saying, I'm gonna keep it brief.
Oh, I could go on for the rest of the show.
Anyways, we're going to take a quick break because I know Michael still has stuff to say. And we're going to continue this conversation because I also still want to give additional love to the sport that is hockey for sure. So going to take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscarroll. We're talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend / the NHL's new rendition of their All-Star Weekend, the Four Nations face-off, in which they had Canada, Finland, Sweden, and USA. And the way that they did that is the International Ice Hockey Federation rankings. Canada is up there in the top. Finland is 2. 3 is Russia, but they're still not able to participate in these types of things because of the war going on with Ukraine, just like we see in the Olympics. United States is at 4. Germany is at 5, but they don't have enough players to have a full team to participate. So then Sweden gets in for that fourth nation for the Four Nations face-off. And we're giving a lot of credit. We heard Paul kind of give his thoughts on the NBA All-Star Weekend, and I'll have Michael say some stuff as well. But I just wanted to glaze hockey a little bit more because that's part of the reason why I love hockey. I don't think the sport and the athletes get enough credit because not only do they show up and show out for their all-star game, quote-unquote all-star game or all-star games against each other, it felt like a real NHL game. Like from the playing, from the board checking to literally fighting on the ice, like it felt like a real game. And you got all the nations against each other. But just in general, like hockey players, like the amount of professional athletes that play in that sport and how barbaric at times it can seem on the ice, because again, you're allowed to throw fists at each other, and once you fall on the ice is when the fight is deemed done, and they try to kind of pull you apart, and then maybe you get thrown in the penalty box for a couple of minutes, and then you're good to go the next game, right? And any other sports, you throw a punch, you're like suspended or fined or whatever. So some parts of the sport can seem barbaric, But if you guys don't really keep up with it, it's a huge credit to the athletes, and it might have to deal with the fact that a lot of them are international players, obviously from Canada a lot. Russia has very good players, but they never get into trouble. Like, like we see all the time with the NFL and NBA players, especially, even the MLB players, both like internationally especially. But hockey, it's like you rarely see them in the news. They're not like beating women, they're not stealing cars, they're not doing ridiculous things. And like I think it's just a huge testament to the culture that is instilled in hockey and how much the players continue to care. Like, it's basically, if you try to go into All-Star Weekend being like how we've seen in the NBA, like, you're going to be the odd man out. Like, everyone that's playing cares about winning and cares about playing in these games. Where I think the NBA, it's just a mix of, and Paul kind of touched on it in the previous segment, where it's a mix of, it's the trickle-down effect, right? And then it just kind of started. I mean, you had LeBron saying he wasn't going to play like a couple hours before the actual game when that spot could have gone to somebody else. Like, it's just, and taking the load management during the regular season. Now, LeBron, to me, I think it's fine if he takes load management because the guy has, one, he's a lot older. Two, he has a lot more miles on his tires because he's made it to so many playoffs and NBA finals. But at the same time, you have the younger players thinking like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to take a game off. So there's just kind of this mentality, and you add in, yes, the older players like dogging on the young players, and it's just this disconnect that we see in the NBA where I think that's kind of the difference, right? And in hockey, like the NHL culture is to go out there and to essentially like try your hardest and try to win and kick each other's butt, even though the game in hindsight doesn't matter when it comes to the NHL standings at all. But you don't want to be the player that doesn't care that's going in there. Where in the NBA, it's almost become cool to just kind of go through the motions of All-Star Weekend, and that culture has been able to continue. And I don't know if there's a way to come back from it, no matter how many times you try to revamp the All-Star Weekend. I'm with you, Paul. Maybe just scratch it in general because nobody seems to care. But it's unfortunate because I think we see what it can look like with the NHL when the players that are actually in the game care. And the best players in the world of their sports, they care, and there's something that they're fighting for, versus they're just going through the motions. No matter how much you try to revamp the format, if the players playing don't care, then they're not essentially
this year though. This year's on the NBA. Yeah, they took too many breaks.
They're not essentially the best players in the world too. I mean, even from the dunk contest, you never had the same magic that you used to back in the day. It's unfortunate for the NBA because we love basketball, like, of course, but that's kind of like, to me, the difference in just the overall culture of their respective sports and why but fortunately for NHL hockey, I'm like, hey, they were able to capitalize on it, this and all eyeballs, including Paul, who doesn't watch hockey, tuned away from NBA to watch hockey of all things.
Yeah, when Paul says he's a very casual New York Rangers fan, he's telling the truth because I'm also a New York Rangers fan, and I'm a bigger fan than Paul. Like,
way
there'll be
bigger.
times where I'm like, Paul, did you see the game, or did you see the highlights? And Paul looks at me with shocked Pikachu face like he doesn't. But the thing with the All-Star games, and especially with the Pro Bowl, and there just needs to be stakes to the game, right? With this Four Nations face-off in the NHL, hey, you're representing your country, you're representing your flag, and every international player is going to play hard because they want to prove that, hey, USA, we can compete. And the NBA, and then here's the thing too with the Four Nations face-off. They announced this format on February 2nd, 2024. So they had a full year to have this planned out. Meanwhile, the NBA, they announced the format, last month or 2 months ago? It's not really well planned out. And there's a lot of half measures in the NBA. Like Paul mentioned, how we make it better. You got to have stakes. We mentioned like the MLB game where, hey, make winner have home court advantage, east-west, or home field advantage, home court advantage. I was telling that to my friend. He's like, wow, that's such a simple idea, but it makes sense. Yeah. And this year they tried to have this whole theme thing. And it was just, if they're going to have a theme, then just make it the theme from the start. Don't make it some convoluted draft process where, Charles Barkley is drafting, he's going to draft his Turkish delight or African delight,
Oh my God.
and then
Thank you for saying
But yeah, they just need, if they're going to have, and then here's the thing too with the NBA, and maybe it's partially on the players because the players are the reason. I mean, it's trickle-down effect, right? I think Ned posted a clip of LeBron capping, saying he's going to participate in the 2010 dunk contest in 2009. I think the last time we saw the All-Star game really be fun was, I think, when Damian Lillard was trying to win it to make a point. But before that, we had Kobe Bryant, where I think he had a broken nose from Dwayne Wade. So there were people, like, it was a time when the old heads, the OGs were trying to prove that they still got it, right? Like, I think Kobe took it upon himself to guard LeBron, but because they don't want to participate in it, and it kind of started with LeBron too. It's just nobody wants to do anything. We had Chris Paul and Wemby trying to hack the skills competition. That was good because the fact that they had to think of an idea of what was deemed cheating, it showed that they cared and that meant something. So for the NBA, you know, if you're gonna go USA versus international, you just have to come out and do it. And one thing, again, the players, I don't know if the players want to do it because I think the USA players might be scared that they might lose. and that's the thing, right? Maybe the USA base players need to take that L, because one thing that the NBA right now is in a function point, because all the top stars right now are international. We have Jokic, we have Giannis, we have Luka. Yes, Luka's at LA, but he's still an international star. The next great American-born and raised basketball player, we don't know who that is. I think in the postseason last year, we were trying to crown Anthony Edwards, but in this game, I think he had something that happened. I guess he has issues with the inside the NBA crew because they take shots at his teammate Rudy Gobert. So shout out Anthony Edwards. I actually have respect for that.
I also have respect for that.
But yeah, there's just you're gonna have to do something drastic. Or not. It's not even drastic. It's simple. A USA versus international, and make or make the East and West have the home court advantage in the finals. It's simple.
Yeah, but that's a lot that you're saying there with the culture, and that's where I bring up with NHL. Everyone cares, but now in the NBA, your top players don't care as much. Where back then with Kobe and obviously trickling way back, it's like they cared. And so the younger players fall in line because they're like, oh, I don't want to be the young guy coming in that doesn't care. Like, these are the OGs, where we've kind of lost that because now the older players essentially don't care, unfortunately. And hopefully we get that back. And the international approach, like what we saw in the Olympics, that was some really fun basketball to watch where everyone's playing with their pride. And so you have the best players in the U.S. playing because they don't want the U.S. to lose. And I don't know, we'll see what happens. I love how Caesar's bringing up, hey, shout out to your fiance Caesar that is from Winnipeg and is a Jets fan. Want to make sure we mention that. So
we love all Jets
the little
fans.
Hockey connection there. So we love to see that, even though you like the MMA and everything like that. That's pretty cool. I'm a MMA girl myself. Again, we try to talk about MMA a little bit, just like right now I'm trying to squeeze in every bit of my hockey talk as I can because we can't talk about it too much, as I know a lot of our local listeners don't keep up with a lot of hockey. But anyways, we got to take a break. When we come back, we will get into some University of Hawaii men's basketball conversation, because unfortunately that's the one of the bad losses that the University of Hawaii had suffered. And we gotta talk about it. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
At Fun Factory, we can't make Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. Let's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lascaro on this President's Day holiday Monday. Again, want to make sure we give a shout out to everyone participating in the Great Aloha Run this morning, which could be just about done, actually. I headed out there to Aloha Stadium. This kind of, well, done for some people, I'm just saying. The roads are starting to open up. That's how I deem almost done, because I know they don't have to deal with what Paul and I had to scramble. Well, not scramble. Luckily, we got the alert from KHON last night before I went to bed that, oh yeah, the Great Aloha Run is going on. I should probably figure out a new way to get to work this morning, because we would have been late for you guys this morning if we had not been aware. Again, I've just been someone that's never participated in Great Aloha Run, and so I've never put it on my calendar and always forget about it. And as you guys know, we pretty much do shows and work every holiday, so I spaced out, but KHON push notifications coming in clutch last night and reminding me that, oh yeah, the roads are going to be closed. The normal path that I take to work to the studio. But we're all good. We were live. Only Michael had to wait for his car and came to the studio a little later. But anyways, in the first hour, we talked a lot of baseball and softball, highlighting the weekend, and also Rainbow Wahine basketball as well. We got a text, someone just tuning in. We got a text. Just tuning in, but UH Diamond Sports smelling that Manoa magic. Yes, of course. Off topic. Do you know when soccer complex is supposed to be completed? I thought I heard it was supposed to be January. Yeah, so I'm assuming you're talking about the soccer and track and field complex that's supposed to be on campus. No. Yes, you were right in that the initial projection was January 2025. No, I do not know what the new date is, but it was originally January 2025 when we were kind of going down a rabbit hole at the end of last year of some of the Board of Regents meetings. We had found last summer that was still the projection in the presentation of this Title IX thing that they had that Lois Mann had presented to the board. That still had January 2025 on it, but I have no idea when the new projection is. But last summer, it was January. We don't know anymore. It's because of rain and weather. That's what the reasoning is behind the delay. But I'll try to figure out and find us a new projection, if there even is one at this point, because it's just kind of been dormant, it feels like, for a significant amount of time. All right. But yeah, we'll try to find that out for you. Okay, guys. Okay. Oh, got to rip the Band-Aid off again every time I get into this topic.
Can't we talk about baseball again?
Stop doing this to me, Rainbow Warrior basketball team. This is killing the vibe and the mojo, but I know we have to talk about it, which is the unfortunate part of...
But we got such a perfect... We could go right back to the Diamond Sports.
I know.
Just like we talked in hour one, in case you missed that.
But I'm here for emotional support.
Yeah.
This is true. All right, fine. Fine, we can.
Hawaii losing to UC Irvine 66-49. And we'll let you hear what a couple of the players had to say in just a little bit, but as we look at just the box score from this, it was brutal. That oh my gosh, it's almost like I look at it hoping that it will change, but Hawaii shooting less than 30% from the field. That was horrendous. To go on top of just the fact that they continue to turn over the basketball a ton, 14 turnovers for the Rainbow Warriors in this game on Saturday, where UC Irvine just turning over the ball 9 times. Now, Tanner Christensen did lead Hawaii with 11 points, but that field goal percentage, that awful field goal percentage, again, 16 of 55 shots actually went in, and they only hit 2 threes, but...
And Tanner hit one of them.
Yeah, Tanner hit one. Our guy Aaron Hunkenclater hit the other one, but it was brutal. I don't understand. Their inability to finish under the basket that game was just, it was shocking. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Tanner probably should have finished with closer to 20 points instead of 11, considering he was pretty dominant offensively, below the basket, and Aaron, and the ball was getting there to our bigs under the basket, even with Harry, and they were why are we not finishing the darn basketball underneath the basket? Like, I always understand the three-pointer might not fall. Like, we've always been up and down. We don't have that solid three-point shooter this year, unfortunately. But come on, guys. We got to get the bunnies, and that was the part that killed my soul. And we talked about the women earlier. They didn't have the best or cleanest game offensively, but at least they were able to step up and to hold UC Irvine back because of their defense. Where Hawaii, I mean, you have Devin Tillis, and then you have Miles Che. Tillis, on the other hand, I don't know how you're Hawaii and you're not getting annoyed by the shakas that they kept doing. Like, I wanted to get up and like just start yelling, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? They're making their shot, so whatever. That's basketball. Like, they're allowed to do their little that way of smack talking. Now you can't do what Miles Shea did. Unfortunately, that kid got ejected out of the game after he did a punch up towards Ryan Rapp. Like, not a basketball play whatsoever. That was like Draymond Green status. So he goes bye-bye. But it was just, it was brutal to watch. Again, Hawaii, they had so many opportunities, especially under the basket, but to finish, oh my gosh, under 30% from the field, just making 16 shots. It was really, really brutal. But as I go ranting, but first, here, we'll let you guys hear from what a couple of the players. Yeah, I'm doing the Paul right now. Let you hear from what Ryan Rapp had to say after that game, and then a little snippet of Aaron Hunkenclater as well.
We didn't set the tone. We played off our back foot, and it's been the story of our season so far. When we are aggressive and we don't second guess ourselves, we play really well, but tonight we just played off our back foot. We can't turn the ball over 4 times or 3 times in a row to start the game. Like, that's not going to win games for us. So it's something we need to fix as soon as we can. The only way we can do that is from training and then actually doing it out on the court. We can talk about it, but we actually got to do it. And I feel like a lot of the shots we did take inside the paint were good shots. We just weren't being aggressive enough towards the rim to actually make those shots. I mean, we went 16 and 55 from field goal. That's not gonna win games for us. So, and normally we're really good from the 2-pointer, and tonight we stunk it up. So it's something we just need to continue to get better at, and we got to, although it's a tough time right now, we got to stay positive no matter what. We still got 5 games. We got a bit of a break here before we go to San Diego, who's a really good team too. So it's our next step. What are we going to do? How are we going to respond? I try to keep guys as positive as I can. We know it's there. We all believe in ourselves. It's just putting the product out there now. Like I said, we can only talk about it so much. It's about performing, and 5 games left. We got to start stringing it together here, especially before we go into conference play. So
we don't lack talent or skill or things like that. I think right now it's just hitting first, and the same swag that we have when we win, we should carry that every game.
And that was Ryan Rapp and Aaron Hunkenclater, just their brief thoughts on the game following that loss to UC Irvine, with Hawaii falling 66-49. And as Ryan Rapp said, I mean, that was brutal. Like, they're not setting the pace, right? Like, and that's another thing. Friday, and because of the high that we were feeling from baseball and softball, I 100% was like, you know what, you guys, like, we can win this game. Like, I had confidence because UC Irvine was beatable, and we saw they were competing with Irvine. That's why it's more frustrating. Like, to me, the kryptonite that Hawaii would be like UC San Diego and CSUN. Like, UC San Diego is just a notch above everybody else in terms of they're all around. They have the athletes. They just are such a good team. They're the best in the Big West. CSUN always concerns me against Hawaii, just pure matchup because of their athleticism, and we saw how much they just could run all over Hawaii, and they're just better athletes. Irvine, though, and you saw it in this game. I mean, Hawaii got good looks under the basket. They had some shots, but they just couldn't finish as much as, I just could not believe what I was watching. I was so upset the entire game because it was there. They started off a little Aaron Hunkenclader doing now he's getting more minutes, of course, turned over the basketball more than he usually does. But I like that he is given the opportunity now. Unfortunately, it's because Cody Williams is injured. But he needs to get that experience, and he needs to play in that game. And now you starting to see the hooper that Aaron is. On a high note, I want to say some positive because he was doing pure basketball things. Like, he was just being his hooper self. I mean, his jump shot is a lot different than a lot of the other players on this team. So I like that he's at least getting this opportunity to play through some of the struggles, just like what we've seen with the players on the Rainbow Wahine side. And this is how he gets that experience, because when he's in there, he does bring a different flow to the game. Paul and I have always talked about that, but it's just getting other guys going. I mean, you have like at least Gitas up there finding his own and scoring 10, but then you have Akira Jacobs, someone who you kind of thought would be your 3-point shooter, not being able to hit more, or not even being able to attempt more than 1-3. Like, it's just, I don't really know what to expect. And then you saw Marcus Green kind of coming on, and then he's only able to score 2 points in that game, where it seemed like, again, they seem like they're heading this way. And then you run into a team and you go down this way. Now, I don't know if it's because, like Ryan said, Irvine was the one that set the tone and took it to Hawaii, and Hawaii got a little shell-shocked in the beginning. We saw that, and moving throughout the game, which is something that I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix the turnovers. I don't know how to get this team to be the one that sets the pace. But from what I saw in pure basketball sense, like, Hawaii has the talent and the ability to beat Irvine. It's just not when you're only hitting 16 field goals in a game, for sure.
Yeah, but, for Hawaii, like, okay, going back to the turnovers, like, we saw this from the start of the season with the exhibition game at UH Hilo. It was like, oh, not sweaty floors, wet floors and sticky floors. No, this team offensively, and the thing with this team is that they are trying to win one certain way. They're not really adapting, and I do want to, I guess, I see Paul kind of slunking over there, but I remember after the Long Beach game, like, they were up considerably late in the half. Like, oh, okay, I mean, I can, after I pronounced that they would win for the vibes, I can go step away, do some chores, come back, and they barely get that off. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong. And then on Friday night, we were all hanging out at baseball, and I asked Paul, like, how was the vibes in the Mediaville after? Because I'll be pissed. And he said, oh, it's still kind of good vibes. Like, oh, that's concerning, right? And then we saw what happened on Saturday. But I do want to stay in the positive that there is ways. They just need to adapt and stuff. I mean, we see Tanner Christensen hit a 3 for what I think it was a third straight game. Work something there. And here's the thing too, is that in the early part of the season, we made Tanner such a focal point on the offense that he's always in the lane. He's always on the block. But that also kind of clogs up the lane that prevents us from having people backdoor cut or slash. And this team does not have that 3-point shooter. That is correct. So what that means is that we have players that are really good at getting to the basket, but they can't get to the basket if there's a big man there. So I think if I'm one of the coaching staff, I'd have Tanner Christensen be watching as much Nikola Jokic tape as possible and have him sort of be a facilitator on the high post or even on the perimeter. And the thing is, like, he's played so much basketball that he's able to do that. And sure, our rebound numbers might be down, but we need to get other guys getting involved in the game. I think Coach Iran was on the post game on Spectrum with Coach Robs, or with Scott Robs, and he's saying that sometimes he called it a train wreck on TV, and was saying stuff like sometimes when shots that go in early, we lose confidence, and that's not something you want to see. And then, again, it's on the coaching staff to get those plays, call those set plays, get something going. I mean, Tom Beatty was named a captain for a reason. He had a really phenomenal year last year, but he is a shell of himself. Marcus, too, had a really strong start in the non-league play, but he's also a shell of himself. We need to get these guys involved, because sometimes if the offense isn't going to carry, sometimes Tanner, again, from the start of the season, I said this is not sustainable for Tanner. Like, we need to get other guys involved. And but yeah, I do think there's options there. I think the coaching staff got to get some plays from the women's staff, because I see the women's staff, they call out plays for Mia. They run some horn sets. There's just ways around this. They just need to adapt and figure out a way to get it going.
And they do need to play differently, and they were going differently. You saw the guards have certain big games like Ryan Rapp, like Tom Beatty throughout the season, not always going through Tanner. but you also got to play to what they're giving you. And they were giving Tanner deep down low in the basket, and he was getting punked. Like, he basically was getting punked. He finished 4 for 12 from the field. Off the top of my head, without watching the replay yet, he missed at least 4 bunnies right under the basket and just was like, oh. And there was a couple of times, I mean, he had a couple of turnovers, and that's just losing the basketball, like just not being aware of your space. And that's why, like, it pains me to say, because it's hard, because he did lead the team in scoring, but he should have had more. And that was the hard part to watch, because I do agree with you. You can't always go through Tanner, but if they're giving you that in the middle, like, take it. And we were just not taking it when they gave it to us. And that's, I mean, it completely could have changed the game. The game would have been a lot closer. You would have managed it a lot different down the stretch if the score was closer, had he made at least 4 more baskets. It was just, that's the part that was a train wreck to watch. And on top of everything else that was going on.
Bent Leuchten is, 10 times the player. It's not even close. I mean, the way that Leuchten plays is closer to a Nikola Jokic than anyone else in the Big West, right? He's big, he's strong, he's not all that. Like, I don't want to be like he's not athletic, because obviously he is. You don't move that well at that size without being athletic. But it's not like he's jumping. It's not like it's Morsek, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not watching Morsek try and move out there.
Or Mamadou Ndiaye, who was in the house.
Shout out him. Bent Leuchten was the difference in this game. You know, you can talk about Devin Tillis, who was great. You can talk about Miles Che, who was very good until he got kicked out, like you mentioned, threw a closed-handed, backhand punch into the face of Ryan Rapp. And it wasn't one of those ones where you're tied up for a ball and an arm just goes flying. Like, it was a dirty play. I did not appreciate it. I was glad that the officials ended up seeing it after the review. I don't know how you miss it on the floor and then give a technical right away. That's another thing. Just in general, though, Ryan hit the nail on the head. UC Irvine set the tone from the very beginning. Hawai'i spotted them 6 points right off the bat, 3 straight turnovers for 3 straight buckets to begin the game again. And until they get their turnover problems down, they're not able to compete against good teams. I tweeted that out at halftime. I'll continue to say it. It's not because they don't have talent. It's not because the coaching staff's not good. It's not because any of these things. Till they stop turning the ball over, they literally do not give themselves a chance against these teams. Because outside of that, where it's like they're just giving away points. They're giving away points. They play good defense a lot of times. And the last point I'll make on the missing the bunnies thing, once again, I'm going to put that on Leuchten and the rim protection that he provided them that night. And that's something to say, because Leuchten himself is like a self-admitted non-rim protector. He just kind of tries to do his job. He's not somebody who's blocking 1 million shots per game. So, yeah, he set the tone physically, blocked plenty of shots, and made guys think twice before they went up in the lane, which is why you saw so many missed layups. Because, even Harry Rulideff smoked a layup that was, it was like you could practice it, right? And it's not because Harry sucks. Harry's been awesome since January. Harry's been maybe their best player consistently. And you just miss it. That's the rim protection. Leuchten was the difference, and UC Irvine's just a class ahead of Hawai'i. And the next team that they play, UC San Diego, is the same class.
My gosh. And even better, in my opinion, just the better team. And yep, that's about it. And I don't know how you fix the confidence of the team is kind of where it's at. Because, like I said, like, it's not like you were just saying, it's not like they were blocking shots the entire time, but Hawai'i for some reason got scared every time they went up for the basket.
And like, saw ghosts, whatever the phrase you want it is. All of it was there.
So frustrating. Anyways, got to take a break. We'll close out the show on a high note. Obviously, that's enough of that men's basketball conversation. We'll save it for the rest of the week or later on in the week, as they are obviously have their bye as well on Thursday and don't play till Saturday, but going on the road. We'll be right back to close things out here on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live as we do on our every Monday on our YouTube channel. So we appreciate you guys. Hello and aloha to everyone tuning in, especially, of course, our regulars. We got Caesar in this chat. We got Scott. We had Michael chiming in before he got into the studio. Justin was chiming in earlier. Haven't seen Felipe chime in at all, or Alex, who are usually our stapled listeners and viewers on our YouTube, but we appreciate all of you guys. So anyway, on a high note, as we saw Caesar talking about, let's see, his baseball fandom, and also because his fiance is a Winnipeg Jets fan from Winnipeg, talking some baseball though, and Benny Agbayani fan. Hey, your inspiration to play. Hey, interesting to play some baseball. Ask if I'm related. I get that question all the time. No, we are not related, but I think it would be kind of
Still
fun.
surprises me. I'm gonna be so honest with you. There's no relation.
No, there's that. Not that I know, but honestly, I only know my immediate, like on that side. Actually, on both my Filipino sides, I only know the like directly like above me. So it's like I just know my grandfather, and then he has a brother, and then my great grandparents. I don't know like any cousins or anything of that level. I know my grandma's side extended family, but when it comes to my the Agbayani side, I don't. So they could be maybe. But I don't really know.
To believe, so.
We're gonna choose to believe that. I don't know. Maybe we should get them in studio now that high school baseball season's starting out. Maybe we can have like a Agbayani conversation.
Agbayani on Agbayani crime.
No crime. Yeah, chit chat about baseball. I did not play any softball growing up, so that wasn't in my genetics. But I was also the only one that played soccer in my family as well. Well, kind of, or soccer took it like competitively as well. But yeah, shout out to being the Filipino connection, as we have our other Filipino here, Michael Lescaro.
Yes, I think I am actually related to Benny Agbayani through my dad's side, my dad's mom's side. I need to double check that, but I think I think I'm actually related to Benny Agbayani. I'm not kidding.
So the thing is, the way that you deliver that, I typically know when Michael is kidding. He's pretty good about making a change. That was a very serious. So I took it at like actual value. So I was like, I mean, I believe you.
I'm gonna look at the family trees if there is any and double check. But
need that.
I thought we were gonna end positive, but I'm looking at this Philadelphia Eagles like helmet, and like what are you like? What are these Bears and Jets fans allowing that to be like on display on the YouTube
because
stream?
if you check the tape, I predicted the Eagles, and this is just me of showing off that I predicted correctly. The one time I bet against the Chiefs, and figuratively betting against the Chiefs.
That's a whole week ago. That's like men's basketball still holding on to the Long Beach game.
Ooh, ouchies. Jeez,
golly,
Michael.
golly.
I feel like when Michael's in studio, we probably should continue this, just having a fun time since it's a holiday, and we'll just continue this chat on our YouTube, actually. But we got to go on the live show because we're about to end. So for Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro, I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani, but we are going to keep it going here on our YouTube, but on radio, we got to go. Bye!
Wake Up in the Den with Kulale Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Fun little vibe there going, Paul.
I had to get a little something for the beautiful people who are sticking around.
Yeah, welcome back, kind of, to Wake Up in the Den on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. As I don't know, I felt like it's a holiday. Michael Esquero is gracing us with his presence this morning. He's been absent for the last few shows. And yeah, might as well just keep the conversation going. What are we going to talk about for maybe the next 15, 30 minutes or so? I do not know, but it would just, I'm kind of curious now with, Michael wanted to talk smack about our Eagles helmet that's in here. It also adds decoration. Alex reminded us last week that our studio is still very bare. So I'm like, you know what? We'll just keep that there until we get the bobbleheads out. Maybe I'll put the Coach Beeman bobblehead out there that we got from Beeman's Bigger Bash the other day. So we will replace and get our studio filled out a little bit. But for now, and it is, like we said, it's a Marcus Mariota autographed Eagles helmet. So that adds to it. So that's a little, come on, Michael, you got to give us that. It's Marcus Mariota autographed. So he's allowed to be in here.
Yes. He's allowed to be here, and I know you guys shout out Marcus in the first part of the first hour. So I was like, oh, okay, I can live with that. But after today, it's a little kind of embarrassing
We're
to
starting
see
to push
Eagles
it.
But Marcus did play
off-season.
soccer for St. Louis. That was kind of cool to see. So not only is his wife soccer, but Marcus did play soccer, and his brother was the kicker. His younger brother was a kicker, and I think his younger brother was a walk-on kicker at Oregon too. So that's where you get that little footy connection. But speaking of Marcus Mariota, chance he might be on the Raiders next year. I'm kind of excited. Is that potentially a starting spot? Reuniting with
I could see him start for the Raiders. Yeah,
that would be kind of fun. Hopefully he stays injury free. But yeah, that'll be fun
for sure.
It's an interesting conversation where Marcus could be because shout out Steven Tsai. Also we're friends on Facebook. Steven and I were close like that. And I saw Steven posted a picture with Marcus, and he was like, yeah, and some guy in the press box asked him, what's the chance of him playing for the Jets next year? One made me chuckle as well, because it's another one of those things where there are a lot of teams who are kind of in this strange position where this year's draft isn't necessarily one that you're falling in love with quarterbacks, so you maybe need a guy to get you over for a year, and that opens up the door for a guy like Marcus, who has shown before he is a quality NFL quarterback, a high-quality guy to have in your locker room, somebody you want around, especially if you're trying to reset a culture. I don't know. It's interesting to think about who could potentially add him on, and with that being said, what those add-ons are, whether it's starting, whether it's as a backup, so on and so forth. Excited to see what the future holds for Marcus, especially because he's been doing so much to give back, and it feels like recently as well. Like everywhere I turn is Motivate Foundation, Motivate Foundation, Motivate Foundation. It makes my heart warm, and I hope he finds a home. I don't know where I would want him to go, though. I will say I don't want him to go to the Jets simply because I would never wish that. I would never wish that fate on anybody.
I feel like things are going to change there in New
Until
York,
I
maybe.
see it, I would not wish that upon him. I think he would be willing to take the challenge and all that stuff. I would never wish that upon somebody. To be the New York Jets quarterback is like a top 3 It's a harder job than I don't even know. It's brutal. So I would never wish that upon him. That would be cool for me.
We already got our starter in Chicago, so maybe not. Because it would be cool if Marcus did end up starting in somewhere like Las Vegas and maybe having a resurgence in his career, kind of like what we saw from Geno Smith not too long ago. Thought he was completely done and went to Seattle, and obviously this past season not the same. But hey, maybe Marcus will have one of those years should he go somewhere like Las Vegas, new head coach at the helm, someone that gets fired up on the sideline, the youngest, 73? The youngest 73-year-old that's coaching right now in Pete Carroll. So, I don't know. It would be interesting to see, but for all of our Las Vegas fans, I'm sure they'd be excited to see Marcus Mariota back there again.
Yeah, and I think if we do, if he does go to the Las Vegas Raiders, I feel like there might be a bit more coverage of the Raiders on our side of things because we do sort of have a little ability to do that. We're going to have to verify the receipt to see what that availability is, but we do have some capability to have some coverage of the Las Vegas Raiders.
We also have somebody just in our office who is a Raiders fan, so I know that she'd probably be pretty pumped. It'd be pretty cool. So
Maybe he'll come over to the Dallas Cowboys.
Again,
we don't want to wish that on Marcus Mariota.
I was going to say, similar to the New York Jets, I would never wish that fate upon somebody.
But if he's starting, if he's starting, then
yeah. All right, I want to go back to, we were having this conversation earlier, but Michael wasn't with us in the beginning. So I just want to kind of have you talk about more of the positive vibes that we saw this weekend from UH baseball. As, like I said, we were out there. Everyone was spending Valentine's Day together last week, Friday. Us and like 2,000 plus people at the Les Murakami Stadium who were treated to that walk-off win by UH. And, of course, they didn't have one, but two walk-offs throughout the weekend. But Friday night, I mean, what a way to start the season. Again, it was also the without having Don Robs there. Credit to UH and everyone there for putting a chair there where he would usually sit at baseball games, and you could see the lay. There was also popcorn that was like on his seat as well, so that was really cool. They did the tribute in the beginning, had his granddaughters throughout the first pitch. Obviously, I'm over there getting a little emotional and teary-eyed to see all of that happen. So shout out to UH. I thought it was the perfect way to begin the season and the best people to throw out the first pitch and giving that homage to Don Robs. But also, and like I said in the beginning, I'm like, that gave me more of the vibe. I'm like, hey, one more angel in the outfield, watching over the Les Murakami Stadium, this Rainbow baseball team. I'm expecting now big things to happen, and I make sure there's receipts for me, Michael. I put it before the game happened, like adding another angel in the outfield. This is going to be a Big West Championship season and maybe more for this team, and what a magical way to start it off this past weekend.
Yeah, because this team... there's still some holes that I think they're going to want to shore up, but one of the things that was important for last season was some of the rallies that they were able to piece together and string together. And then they played some really great teams last season. But yeah, they was able to piece together rallies. I always bring up the Keiki announcer thing because a couple games in there, like there's at least going to be a 1-run score during the Keiki announcer. And usually that comes true, especially what helps carry these rallies, because you just need to get runs across the board, and don't try to get everything in a single inning, but you just chip away at the deficit, force the other team to get tight. But what I'm saying about last year was good because this team has the confidence that they can come back from deficits. Unlike some other team in the UH athletic department program, we're talking about men's basketball, when they're in a deficit, this team believes that they can get from a deficit, and it's kind of the style that they're going to have to win this year, because starting pitching for the Bulls, a little shaky right now. I know that wasn't the best start for Seabass. I kind of did jinx him because I tweeted about him, and it's like whenever I start tweeting about them, that they start kind of falling off losing their stuff a little bit. But yeah, this team definitely, you don't turn off the TV on this team. And unfortunately, not all their games are broadcasted, but another sport is broadcasted. We gotta have to fix that spectrum. I think you gotta give the people what they want. But yeah, this baseball team, but in a way, you also kind of have to be there. I think the walk-off flashing lights is a good touch. Definitely on the opening night, that was, if you didn't realize what happened, especially for like new fans, if you didn't realize what happened, flashing lights and light show, something could happen. And that for all the young kids there, that's a heck of an experience. Now, I do want to see in the future maybe some coordinated music going on or something going on during the light show, and because that would just set off the vibe. But yeah, shout out to the rally hats.
Yeah, maybe they should do the
shout out to the rally hats.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We didn't even take a picture. Dang it. We all did.
People now,
we all did have the rally hat. No thanks. My hair is not having a good hair day today, so I need to leave the hat on for this occasion. But you're more than welcome to show them the rally hat, how that looks. But anyways, want to close out our YouTube. A YouTube only clip, because I feel like I just thought about this because we haven't had you in the studio, but Michael has been out to UH football practice a couple of times so far for the spring. So Yeah, if you could share with the beautiful people, everyone that's just watching on YouTube now, what were some of your observations, and if we can expect you to go to practice this week, but the first couple of practices that you were able to check out at UH. And obviously we shared with everyone some of the notes that you had texted us, but just it's a lot easier for you to share and like explain everything that you may have seen at UH football practices, the first couple that you were able to attend in the spring so far.
Yeah, it's a really good vibe. One of the things that I do think that they're showing an emphasis this season or early on to make sure they kind of install is kind of the short passing game, the quick game, whether it be bubble screens or short hitches, just getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands. I think that's important. I know that was a kind of a big criticism of Braden Shager that he'll be holding onto the ball a lot. So I think you just gotta kind of chip away. And then once the big play is there, you can go out there and hit that. We do have some pretty good receivers coming in, and Brandon White and Jackson Harris. Brandon White from Kentucky, I think, was clocked at under 4.3 seconds in the 40-yard dash, and Jackson Harris, just a guy that's very confident. But this team, they not only they have transfers, but with the whole application for another year of eligibility for some of these guys that was on the JUCO level, we kind of have a stacked team, and there's no reason why this team shouldn't win 8 wins this year. If they fall short of 8, or if they don't even get to 7, I'd say that's a disappointment, because you have a lot. Micah Alejado at the quarterback position gives this team a confidence, and when he was in studio talking about with us or on that 1 week, talking about just being bring positivity on the stuff. I realized that he got that from Tom Brady, so that's just a little stuff at Paul, because Tom Brady was bringing that up as I saw a podcast or a clip of him talking about at his times at Michigan, where he would always be trying to fighting for that starting quarterback position. So hopefully that rubs off on Micah, because I know he wanted to play last year, and therefore there were definitely times last season where I felt like Micah gave us a better shot to win. But yeah, I do think we might see J.J. Nielsen more. I mean, I know he was kind of maybe like a year or two removed from football, but he seems to be like a guy we might get in some short yardage or like a Tim Tebow package. Shout out to New York Jets, Tim Tebow for fall. But yeah, this team, I guess offensive line might be one of the biggest question marks. If I do make it out to practice this week, I think talking to Coach, the offensive line coach, his name slips me right now. But yeah, because they are kind of missing 2 of their guards. I think they're wrestling with injury or healing from injury in Kual Pehopa and Zen Sotelo. So we're going to get some of the younger guys in there getting some reps. So that's a good time for them to prove what they can get. And that left tackle spot is also open with KJ, with Kiana DeCambra, at USF now. So speaking of USF, they are kind of racking up some Hawaii names there. So I know they got Mackenzie Milton there as a coach in some capacity. So yeah, it's looking fun. This football team, again, I think it's March 9th, I think, is when they're going to have their spring festivities. So
yeah, they moved it. So it was going to be March 8th, but now it doesn't, compete against track and field, even though track and field is going to be on another island. But still, at least because I had originally planned to go to track and field, and then I would have you guys cover football. But now I'm like, woohoo, I get to watch both. Yay.
Or we can all go to track and field.
We don't have a budget for that. Find us more sponsors.
I was gonna say money is the one.
Find us more sponsors.
Well, just someone give us some miles.
Anybody, you too.
Rick Nakashima, Ruby Tuesday, sponsor us.
Or Caesar will come to your island for track and field and send us some miles. We'll come to Maui. The whole entire team will come out and get our zippies like he said he would get for us.
Yes, we need to go get our zippies from Caesar.
I want to ask you, have you been able to see or notice how Luke Weaver looks, the JUCO transfer that came in? Is he here already, or is he not here until next? Okay,
we have 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
throwing.
how does Luke look out there?
He's learning how to throw to Division I receivers. I'll say that, right? Like, I think on the first day of practice, some of his deeper throws were kind of falling short of the receiver, where they would have to kind of come back to the ball. But we kind of saw that last year too, where some quarterbacks, but he's a good guy to come in. Good guy for the locker room. Definitely, if he's playing for extended amount of time, I might be I'm a bit concerned of what happened to Micah, but he's still kind of learning the flow. But he's a smart guy, right? He's I think he got a 4.0 in the JUCO level and whatnot. So he's gonna be good. Luke Weaver is gonna be good. He's gonna be a solid backup. He's just got to learn how to play against Division One. That's just gonna be an adjustment period. But once he kind of gets things going, and plus it's still early on. I think he kind of got to the program kind of late. I remember he had his signing day where like his former teammates from high school, from JUCO, out there on his quote unquote signing day, even though he was already kind of committed for about like a month or so before that. So, but yeah, Luke Weaver looks good. The defensive ends group, that's going to be the most stacked because you got guys like Ka'eo Kana coming in, Elijah Robinson possibly still there, and then you got Lester Langofuaina, Wyndon Huahuli. You know, there's just a big stop. I will kind of say one name to look for as kind of a riser that we didn't see them as a contributor last year is Aiden McCumber on the defensive line. He's someone that's kind of getting some love. And, you know, I don't know if you guys played the Elijah Palmer clip, but he's also one of those kind of spiritual guys on the team, so that should be good. Elijah Palmer also kind of shouted out a couple of 3 receivers that I'm kind of close with. Blaze Kamoku, Babu Kapanan, who's also a really good special teams gunner, as well as my guy Tamu Uliata, who is running with the 2. So, but yeah, Nick Seneca is also looking really good. You know, I think there was that one post game where he had a solid game where he talked about Braden's passes being like bullets and like he just had trouble catching them. Micah throws a much more catchable, receiver-friendly ball. So I think Nick Seneca is gonna be. He might actually have a better year than Pofele if things are. Yeah. That's my. Because Pofele is gonna have a great year no matter what. It's just that now the targets are a bit more spread out, so he might not have the stats, but that doesn't mean that he's not doing his job and getting people open.
Interesting.
McComber is a Bishop Gorman grad. Another one of our Bishop
Another
Gorman
one of those guys.
boys.
Speaking of Bishop Gorman. Cam Barfield is also looking really good at the running back position. They're getting him in space.
I was just about to ask you that. I was just about to say, like, all right, we need to know how the run game is going because that was something that did not get going whatsoever last year.
Him and Micah had good chemistry anyway, right?
Yeah, but then we were talking to former lineman Aaron Kia before, and how it's like you got to at least get somewhat of a run game going in order to open up the passing game. We see that. I mean, we saw that with the Eagles, right? On the defensive side, they put all of their chips in to try to stop Saquon Barkley, which they did, and then it opened up everything else for Jalen Hurts and the receivers of the Eagles, which I thought Spags would have had a better defensive plan for all of the Eagles offense, but apparently that didn't work out. But yeah, how is with Cam Barfield, or is there any other guys? Like, does it seem like, I mean, also, I guess it's kind of hard to ask with having so many question marks on the offensive line too, but for the most part, yeah. What's our takeaway in this early spring of the run game for Hawaii?
Yeah. Again, Cam Barfield, Bishop Gorman, running back. He's also wearing a new number 0, and that was kind of cool because I'm like, oh, who's that number 0? Oh, that's Cam Barfield. Well, he's finally getting his touches and he's getting in space. I think Deuce Vaughn's getting some reps with Landon Sims, kind of recovering from an injury or whatnot, but I did see Sitane Mikaele out of Farrington High School getting some reps as well.
OIA boy.
And he's kind of a guy you kind of want to. He also moonlights as a security. There's one time he was at a game, I think, for the state tournament. He was like security, one of those hired stuff. And those are the guys you guys kind of want to got either in the backfield or on defense or just on your team. Those guys with that protector mindset. I do want to shout out another friend of our show, Rocky Savana. His son, Zayden Mariratangi, he did have a pick 6 on Luke Weaver when I was at practice. So that was kind of cool to see. So yeah, Zayden, he's one of the few high school players that they signed that are an actually early enrollment, so that's good to see because I don't think Jordan Kernigan is there as well as not Titan Lackinen. But then Zayden is impressing me as a linebacker because as far as I've seen him in high school, he's only kind of played on the edge, whether it be at Kahuku or at Farrington as a DN or outside linebacker. So in that middle spot and being able to make plays in coverage, that's reassuring to see and kind of good to see too. So yeah, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players. There's like how many players are there? Like over 100. So
yeah.
If you just say a name, I might have something to say. There's just a lot.
I love it.
News came out for the Big West baseball. Hawaii got the Player of the Week, so I just was looking at that. Sorry, I know I made but I was waiting until the football conversation was over.
So who got Player of the Week, Paul?
I want to say his name right, so I'm going to look at the pronunciation guide. It's Shunsuke Sakaino. He had an awesome weekend, obviously. That's why he won the Big West Conference Player of the Week. But no, congratulations to him. I figure that's we started the day with baseball. Hey. I figure it's one way we can close the day as well. Quick stats for the beautiful people: hit 583, went 7 for 12 over the weekend, crossed 4 games, 7 RBI, scored 5 more runs, tallied 3 doubles, had the walk-off single on Saturday night. So as good of an introduction as you can have. He's one of the transfer players this season for the Rainbow Warriors. Obviously, they have multiple who are making impacts. From another one, Freddie Rodriguez, who was phenomenal, I thought, during this opening weekend. But Sakaino from CSUN, his first introduction to Hawaii fans is as the Conference Player of the Week. So congrats to him.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Draven Nishida for delivering the walk-off hit, because he's
also had an awesome.
The 2 transfers like delivering the walk-offs over the weekend before they had to play Wichita State coming up this week, which will be another fun time. But yeah, I guess that was fun. Thank you guys for tuning into an extension of the show on YouTube. But for now, we got to go. So be sure you guys tune in tomorrow morning. Have a good rest of your holiday Monday. It's been, or for Paul Brecht, Michael Iscaro, I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for watching the extended YouTube version of Wake Up in the Den. We're going to go now. Bye.
Bye.